Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. A very warm welcome to all our new subscribers. I hope you're going to enjoy this journey with us. So it's all about healthy eating, and today we are going to make another recipe that's something a little bit different again, and I'm using the blue book, if you guys have seen it before. It's Dr. Dukan's book, one of his many books actually, and these books, a lot of them is put together by people like you and I that have sent recipes to Dr. Dukan. So in this book it's called Country Pate. Now I have a bit of a problem with the description of pate because I feel it needs to be spreadable to be a pate. So I'm going to call it a terrine, and I'm going to make a few small changes to the recipe, and I will explain obviously why I'm doing it to you. So I'm really looking forward to showing you how to make this, because I think it's something really nice that you can make for yourself. You can portion it all out and it'll be easy lunches for you, but you can also make it for your family, or if you want to invite a few guests, you can have it at a dinner party or at a lunch party. So looking forward to showing you. We'll be back in a minute and then we'll show you. Okay everyone, so now we're going to make the terrine. So first of all, I'll show you the ingredients. Over here I've got 200 grams of deli turkey meat, so thinly sliced. This is what you're going to need to line the terrine mold with. Then over here I've got some ham. So in total you need 350 grams. You can mix this ham, you can have half turkey, half pork, and it doesn't have to be the thin slices. It could be a big piece of ham that you just put into cubes. Then the other ingredients here, I've got 700 grams of mince. Try to get mince that's less than 5% fat. Then 200 grams of chicken livers. 1 onion, I've just cut it in 8 bits. Then 4 cloves of garlic, I've just chopped it very roughly. Then I've got here frozen herbs, a tablespoon of oregano, a tablespoon of thyme, and then a pinch of nutmeg. And then at the back here I've got some homemade rosé wine. The recipe calls for port. I'm just using a tablespoon of wine instead. So that's basically all the ingredients you need. Then over here I've got a hand blender. It's got a blade in there and you just turn it by hand, but you can also use a food processor depending on how fine you like your texture. So we'll start off with just slicing the ham here. It's already sliced, so I'm just slicing it across and in big cubes like that. I'll do the other bit here as well. So you'll see the recipe, you don't add any salt. The reason for that is because of these deli meats, there's often already a lot of salt in there. There we go. And now, take that. So now we're going to start by lining our terrine dish. So this is a mold I use for bread baking. It works equally well for the terrine. So what you're basically wanting to do is you start in the bottom, put a slice of turkey meat down there, and you're going to overlap them so it looks like the scales of a fish. The second one just goes on the side there. Do the other one on the other side. You can overlap that bottom one a little bit more. Sorry, that wasn't going where I wanted it to go. There we go. So there's basically 2 in the base, 1 on each side, and you just keep doing that. Overlap the middle one slightly. There we go. If you're consistent, then the pattern will look nice at the end of it. There we go. So you just carry on lining the dish. There we go, do one more. So that's basically the idea. You line that side as well. Okay guys, so everything has been lined now. The last slice is hanging over the sides of the dish because you're going to fold that over in the end. So that's basically the idea. Mine is maybe not as neat and tidy as it should be, but it will do the job. So now in your food processor or in your dicer, I'm first going to add the onions in the bottom because I want them to be close to the blades so they chop up nice and fine. Then the next thing I'm going to add is our ham. There we go. And after that, we're just going to add the chicken livers. I put them in last because they're soft and they break up easily. So there we go. Now at this point, I'm going to add the garlic as well, because that could also do with chopping a little bit more. Then I'm adding the herbs. Go. You can also use dried herbs, just use a little bit less maybe. And then the book says a pinch of nutmeg. I'm using a half a teaspoon. In the book the herbs is a teaspoon of each and I'm using a tablespoon of each. So I'm just increasing the herbs slightly because I like a little bit more flavor. And now for the last important ingredient, a tablespoon of homemade rosé wine. Now I'm going to experiment in the future to see if I add a little bit of cream cheese at this point, if it makes the loaf a little bit more moist, because I do find the loaf slightly dry, but that's my own opinion about it, but it's still lovely. So now I'm just literally going to turn the slicer, and the texture is all up to you how fine you want it. In the book it doesn't really tell you much, so I like a bit of texture in there. We're going to have a look in a minute to see how fine it is. Let's have a look. Here we go. Now you could just clear the sides a little bit, give it a stir if you have to. But yeah, I kind of like this style because to me that's what a country pate looks like, or a country terrine. So we can do a little bit more, or you can decide to just stop it there. I can still see one or two onions that needs a little bit more. Here we go. So I think that's all done now. So we're going to now use a big mixing bowl here. Let me get a spatula. So I'm just literally going to put this mixture in the big bowl, and then we're going to mix it with the mince. Here we go. Really nice mixture. You can smell the garlic, all the herbs. There we go, all done. And now the mince. Just going to put that on top. So I've tried in the past making it with half mince and half chicken breast, but I found that the loaf was really quite dry then. Okay guys, so gloves on, and now the idea is to really squeeze the mixture together, mix it really well so that all the spices and onion and meats mixed together very nicely. See, it's quite a soft mix, but it's not soggy. It's very similar to a meatloaf, but now you're going to be eat it cold, and you can easily buy deli meat and deli loaves at the shop, but they're often very full of salt. So making your own is always best. Okay, so here we are. I'm just going to put handfuls into my terrine here. So take a nice big handful, and then what you need to do is you need to squash it right down. You don't want any air in there. So we just fill the terrine. You'll see it's quite a lot of mixture. The mould I'm using is a little bit shorter than the one in the book. So you can choose to either overfill it slightly or to make some individual ones. It's also an option. So there's all different methods of doing a terrine. This specific recipe says purely to bake it at 200 degrees. And we're going to be doing that for exactly an hour. Some terrines you bake in a water bath, and it's more like poaching, but this one is just purely straight in the oven, and that's it. So here we go. So at this point now, flatten it slightly, and now I'm just going to take my gloves off. There we go. And now those bits that was overhanging on the sides, you just simply fold them in. There we go. If you have another slice or two, you could put those two slices on top here. I'm going to get a little bit of foil to cover that, and that will go in the oven. Put a piece of foil and just tuck that in, and you'll see I've just positioned it into another dish so that if there's any liquid spillages, it doesn't go into your oven. So the oven is preheated. We'll put that in the oven now. 200, 1 hour in the middle of the oven, and I'll show you when it's cooked what it looks like. Okay guys, the 1 hour is up now. So let's have a look what it looks like. I'll take that out and show you. So be careful, obviously. The foil will be hot and there'll be steam coming out. So let's have a look here. Beautiful, beautiful. So you'll see the whole loaf has shrunk a bit, and it is surrounded by quite a bit of liquid. Now that liquid, some of it will be fat and some of it will be stock. So what I do is I'll pick it up here, and we're trying not to make a huge mess. Let's have a look. And pour the liquid out. Because once that is cooled off, you can just spoon the fat off, and you can use the stock for something. So there we go. So I'm putting that back up here. So you need to leave this to cool off completely at room temperature, uncovered. And then you leave it in the terrine dish in the fridge overnight, and then we will slice it and we will serve it up. So we will be back tomorrow at some point to finish this off for you guys. Hi everyone, it's now 1 day later. I want to show you the terrine, what it looks like now that it's been in the fridge overnight. So here we are. We've already had a couple of slices and tried it. So the terrine was a little bit bigger than this, probably about this long. Let me slice it and you can see what it looks like. Nice sharp carving knife. is always good. I'm slicing it quite thin, about 1/2 centimeter, because for me that works really well. You can see it's really nice and moist in there, lovely texture, and the green bits is the bits of herbs, obviously. So you can slice the whole terrine up and you can freeze it. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to just put it on a platter now, and I'm going to present it just for lunchtime. So let me just see here, bring that for you so you can see this. Here we go. We can just talk about what we can serve it with. So over here I've got a little plate of oat cakes, and in my previous video I've got the recipe there for you to make these oat cakes. They are lovely and they work well with the terrine. And then over here next to it is our everyday Dukan bread. This one has got a little bit of a different flavor to it. I've added 2 teaspoons of caraway seeds. So it's lovely scented loaf with lots of seeds in it, and it works really well with this loaf. And the recipe for this one is called Everyday Dukan Bread, and it's marked #1 of my videos. Then there's got another couple of products I'd like to show you. This one over here, it's homemade tomato salsa, and we make this every year from our own tomatoes in the garden. And this is probably one of the last jars we've got in the pantry now. So I'll show you here. It's quite a fine texture and it is actually really lovely. I'll open that up for you. So it's like a sauce consistency and it goes well with the terrine. So you can serve that. In another video later this year, I'll show you how to make the salsa and how to can it so that you can keep it in your pantry for the winter months. The second one I'd like to show you here is some zucchini pickles, and these are really lovely. They're sweet and sour in taste, and they're also Dukan friendly. I make them myself, and later this year when it's zucchini season, I will show you how to jar these ones up so you've always got them in your pantry anytime you would like them. I'll open it up so you can see it. So here we go. A little bit of onion in there, a little bit of turmeric, gives it that beautiful color, and it's got a bit of crunch, which is lovely with your terrine. Okay guys, so I hope you've enjoyed our video, and I hope that you're going to try to make it yourself and see what you think about it. Any comments, any suggestions that you have, please leave them for us. And also remember to like and subscribe and share with your friends. Until next time guys, take it easy, bye.